Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Devil's Digest postgame show following Arizona State's 90-53 victory over San Diego here at Desert Financial Arena. The Sun Devils now improved to 8-1 on the season. As always, my name's Justin Lester-Tosa. That's publisher Ho Rubino. And Ho, the Sun Devils, if you watch this game, it's pretty evident they came out pretty slow. Maybe a little bit of Thanksgiving hangover after that great Palm Springs tournament where they came out on top, but eventually kicked it into gear.
Yeah, and I think head coach Bobby Hurley was honest enough to admit that he was taking it just a little too light on the team, on the practices early this week. And look, I mean, in some ways, he maybe can't fault his way of thinking because when you look at it, ASU played essentially 8 games in about 24 days in the month of November. So when you figure out the averages, that is a lot of games in a very condensed schedule. Obviously, the 2 games in Palm Springs were back-to-back performances. So just letting the foot off the gas pedal a little in terms of intensity in practices would probably be the pretty thing to do. Unfortunately, the team, at least in the first half, did not respond well to that. So Bobby Hurley said that he's going to take a different approach from here on out. But Thanksgiving hangover or not, you would expect ASU to come out much better. Even though they did lead at halftime, this game had one of those halftime comeback feels to it because they played absolutely lights out in the second half. So it's just one of those things where some valuable lessons learned and how to prepare for a game. But it's always good to have those lessons after a win than after a loss, and that's the case in Arizona State.
And you mentioned the slow start. ASU fell down to San Diego 17-5 at a point in that first half, but eventually, again, they kicked it into gear, and that second half, the offense really started to roll, and we saw that balance on full display.
Yeah, I think that zone by San Diego really did affect ASU. They were missing a lot of open shots to begin the game, and I think that almost really enticed San Diego to actually throw the zone more often in that first half. But when ASU was able to effectively attack the zone with good ball movement, a lot of dishes to the paint, that obviously helped. But the biggest thing that helped, Jason Sanan. The absolute sniper from the outside, had 13 of his 19 points in the first half. And as we know, the best way to bust the zone is to start draining those 3-point shots, or even just jump shots in general. And when Sanan was able to do that, that obviously really frustrated San Diego quite a bit, and that just opened matters that much more for the entire team. In second half, I really feel like the defense really fueled the offense, but it really was just an onslaught. Not only Sanan, but Rashid Jihad, BJ Freeman. Sanan, by the way, his 3rd game in a row where he scored 19 points. If you recall, he was the MVP of that Palm Springs tournament, scoring 19 points in each of those wins against New Mexico and St. Mary's. He scores 19 points again tonight, 5 of 8. But Rashid Jihad also had 19 points. Had maybe somewhat of a slow start, but did end up shooting 5 of 11. Alston Mason, the point guard, did have 10 points. BJ Freeman also started a little slow, but did have 14 points. And Jaden Quaintance came 1 rebound shy away from a double-double, had 10 and 9, but did a lot of nice work on the defensive side. We'll talk about that in a second. But basically, when you have all your star players that just come to play, I just feel like this ASU team can outshoot almost anybody in the country. But again, I think the defense really helped them quite a bit in the second half.
Yeah, and that defense really found its spark, only held San Diego to just 20 points in the second half, and led by none other than Jaden Quaintance, the anchor of that defense. What have you seen out of ASU's defense, kind of holistically and also in this game?
Yeah, Jaden Quaintance, 5 blocks, which almost is like a ho-hum performance for him. ASU as a team did have 10 blocks, absolutely dominated the boards, and had a 15 rebound edge over there, and that's something you definitely don't see on a regular from an ASU team. I just thought that the halftime speech by Bobby Hurley and the staff was probably quite the tongue lashing, because the effort that they came out in the second half, especially on defense, was absolutely just night and day. They did limit San Diego to 26.7% shooting in the second half, and obviously when you're going to suffocate your opponent that much, you're definitely going to win a lot of games, and that definitely was the case today. what I like about Jaden Quinn and sort of just the whole team, that it's not only just the block shots and the rebounding, but you see him just diving for loose balls, really playing with a lot of intensity. A little surprised maybe we didn't see a lot of half-court pressure. Maybe that was the only defensive approach that ASU did not employ. But it was just an absolute dominance in the second half. Like you said, when you limit somebody for 20 points, I almost feel like, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So maybe they didn't really need the half-court press, that much. But I think, you can look at the 90 points scored and you can say, okay, yeah, this ASU offense just continues to impress. But I think you really have to be impressed by the defensive efforts that they're showing lately. Even against St. Mary's, if you remember, that wasn't a shootout by any means. And a lot of the wins that ASU had this year really were shootouts. They really were able to display a lot of defensive chops against St. Mary's, obviously playing a much inferior opponent tonight, but nonetheless, to see ASU play that level of defense, especially in the second half. And I would say also maybe the last 5-7 minutes of the first half definitely just feels the offense that more. They have a dozen fast break points, and that basically just really just keeps that offensive machine humming. And if they can really just keep that approach, I think they can really just continue on a great successful season that they're having so far.
So yeah, ASU is now 8-1 on the season, and more of the non-conference slate is behind them than in front of them, and a little bit of a lighter December in terms of just games and scheduling. But Bobby Hurley talked about he's kind of thinking about changing some of the regimens to help this team prepare for some even tougher competition down the line. What do you expect to see out of the rest of this non-conference slate for ASU?
Yeah, I think it's really, Justin's almost going to be like a preseason camp, if you will. They got a game on the 14th against Florida, neutral court. A game on the 21st against UMass, semi-neutral court. I think it's like a stone throw away from campus over there. And then on the 31st, they open Big 12 play at BYU on the road. So I think just having all that gap between games can really just help them mentally and physically heal, and just really work on some of the fundamentals that maybe Bobby Hurley thinks that still need to be worked on. Don't forget, it's still a fairly short rotation without the services of Austin Nunes. So I think these players are definitely feeling the toll of the schedule. Again, essentially playing 8 games in about 24 days in the month of November, when you have a short rotation to begin with. That's something that ASU was really able to survive very, very well, as evident in the 8-1 record. So now to really navigate of, okay, when am I just really taking my foot off the gas pedal in terms of intensity, and when I'm just ramping it up to make sure that they're sharp. It's going to be a task that I think may be somewhat challenging for Bobby Hurley. But like I said earlier, I think it was great that Bobby Hurley felt that he did have a wrong approach coming into tonight. He did admit to that, and now he knows what to do better. And he has just such long periods in between games to work that. I think that's just really just fits hand to glove for ASU in terms of what they're trying to accomplish. The game on the 14th against Florida, it's in the neutral court in Atlanta. That's going to be huge. Florida, as we speak, is still undefeated, number 7 in the net rankings. So you talk about all the statement wins that ASU had up until now. If they can beat the Gators on the 14th, that is probably the biggest statement win, at least in the non-conference portion of their schedule. But right now, I think if you're an ASU fan, you have to be very, very pleased with what you're seeing from this team. Again, it's not only the offensive power, which is really just off the charts compared to what we saw not only last year, but I think just in years even before that. But I think the defensive intensity against St. Mary's, against San Diego, I'm really liking what I'm seeing on that end of the court for ASU. And if they can find that balance between offense and defense, they're going to be a tough out, even in a very challenging Big 12.
Well, Hood, Arizona State once again takes care of business at Desert Financial Arena. To stay locked in on all the coverage, go to DevilsDigest.com. Follow Devils Digest on Twitter at Devils Digest. As always, my name's Justin Lester Joseph. That's publisher Hood Rubino. We'll talk to you guys soon.